Hey everybody, it's Justin from Built, and I recently did a video on cheap Brad Nailers. And, surprisingly, the winners in that one were the Hart and the Ryobi, which are basically clones of each other. And it beat out the M18 from Milwaukee. So in the comments, though, I had a lot of people asking me, ooh, I really wish you could have done the M12 from Milwaukee that was just announced. It finally just dropped at my store today, so I ran out and got it. That way we'll put it through its paces. I purchased it myself. No sponsors in this video, no interests whatsoever. We're just going to let the numbers decide things. I'm going to run it through the exact same battery of tests. I even have the exact same wood cutoffs that I used in that test. That way everything is exactly the same. We're going to see how it comes out today on Built. We're going to do 3 material tests and then a rapid fire test on here, and then we will do a overview of the specs of this tool as well as a little bit of my opinion on this too, but overall I'm trying to keep it very data driven. We're going to be doing hardwood, pine plywood, and MDF trim. Now when we do this, I'm going to calibrate the gun every single time to that material before we start. I'm going to make sure that I use the depth gauge to get the nails to where they are just below the surface of the material when I shoot it in that particular test. Then I will shoot 100 nails into it, and we'll see if we see any raised heads, or, to a worser extent, if we have any misfires. A raised head is easy to fix. I can just take my punch, I can just drive it back in there. It's not preferred, but it's definitely not the end of the world. Whereas a misfire, where you can visibly see the shaft and the head of the nail sticking out, that is bad, because when I try to drive that back in, most likely it is going to bend, and if I have to use a pry bar or pliers or anything, I risk damaging my material. So we don't want that to happen. Now, in this test, we have one big asterisk, and that is the hardwood test, because this can only shoot 1 1/4 inch nails, where 9 out of the 10 guns in the last video was able to shoot 2 inches. So it does put a little bit of a taint on that one test. We will still conduct it and we'll look at the results, but overall you do have to know that, yeah, I'm using a much smaller nail. The bigger the nail, the harder it is to get it all the way in there, of course. Okay, we are going to use the red lithium high output XC 5.0 for this test. Well, on the MDF trim, we have a perfect test. 100 out of 100 here. We had no misfires. I can run my hand over it and feel nothing. You might see a whole bunch of like streaks on here, and I'm noticing that from this nail gun. I think it's just because it's brand new. It's probably some grease or oil that's in there that's coming down with the nail. It does wipe off. It's something that I'm not too worried about at the moment, and can't obviously continue to do this forever. On our 2 pieces of 3/4 inch ply, we have another perfect test. We have 0 nails that are protruding, no heads that were protruding. Every single one of them consistently sank down, and I don't see any that are overtly sunken more than they should be. So very good there. I do want to note, again, it has that oil on the top, but I'm very sure this will go away over time. On our hardwood, we came very, very close. We have a protruding head right here, but it is not protruding enough to where I see the shaft to declare it a misfire. We did have a misfire over here. However, this most likely is from an internal strike on something in the wood, so it has a protruding head, plus it went out the side instead of up and down. You can see how many nails are in here and how tightly packed. This was one of the first, so it wasn't off a nail, but you know, there might be something in here that it hit off of, but regardless, we need to count it as a misfire. For our bump test, we had a perfect score. So we had 100 synced nails fully in there. 0 of them are popping out. I do want to note, and I'm going to slow down the video right now next to this, and show that I did need to make a considerable pause in between each shot in order for the gun to fire. The gun would not fire if I tried to go too fast, which, you know, it's a bump stock mode. It's supposed to go every time I'm ready. Now, my thought process on this is that if it's not fully prepped and ready to go, it's holding you off so that it did achieve the 100% results here, which in that case, that is good. I would much rather it make me wait and achieve a perfect result than fire too early, resulting in a protruding head on the nail. So wow, that was pretty good. We aced 3 out of 4 tests. That puts it in the top 2 from the last video, which is pretty impressive. So let's go ahead and take a look at all the specs on this, take a look at its features, and I'll give you a little bit of opinion on my perspective from using this tool. The Milwaukee model 2541-20 retails for $249 tool only. If you buy it as a kit with a 2 amp hour battery and charger, it is $324. It has one rear light, which is only acceptable. It does not have a traditional trigger lock, but it does have a power on and off button, which I honestly find a little bit annoying. The noise level is 82.7 decibels, which is very low. Belt hook is metal. The maximum brad size is 1 1/4 inch. It will not dry fire, and it will leave 3 nails in the clip every single time. The weight of the tool is 4.2 ounces, which is very light. The max tool width near the head is 67.72 millimeters. The position of the lever is behind where the nail exits the gun, which is what is preferred. After the test, I did open up and remove some of the grease in there. There was a lot of grease. I did not remove all of it. You don't want to do that, but I did wipe gently out in some areas. Afterwards, when I tested it, the streaking grease that was on the materials is now gone. So if you are encountering that, just open it up and wipe it out a little bit. So my final thoughts on this nailer. First, the negatives, and then we'll get to the positive stuff. The power button is really annoying. I keep picking this up to use it. It doesn't work, and then I remember I have to press a power button. None of the other brands' nailers have a power button on it, so it's a little annoying to me. Next, the light is in a bad position. It's back here. It casts the light forward, but the depressor then creates a shadow where you're going to shoot the nail. So you're not actually lighting up the work area, you're casting a shadow on the work area. So I would like better light placement. And then, of course, the fact that we are limited to 1 1/4 inch brads. You can't go up to 2 inches like 95% of the other nailers on the Brad nailer market can. So we are limited here. We'll talk about that again in a minute. The good stuff, definitely the good stuff, is look at how much shorter it is than my Ryobi, how much skinnier it is. It's over a pound lighter than this one. This one is so heavy in comparison when I'm holding these up. And so if you're using this a lot, weight matters. And then something that I realized is this is very flat surface. So when I'm using this, I can look straight down and see exactly where I'm going. When I'm using this one, we have these protrusions as well as this lever that are in the way, and I have to really lean forward in order to see where I'm shooting. So this is a much more comfortable ergonomic shot, in addition to being able to fit into smaller spaces. So we have a lighter, more ergonomic tool that did very, very well on its tests. So I like it. I like it a lot. I'm adding it. I'm keeping it to my inventory. You know, a lot of the times when I review stuff, I reviewed 10 Brad nailers in the other video. I sold them all afterwards. I put them all on Marketplace after I do a video because I don't need 10 Brad nailers, and I typically will keep whatever I feel is the best one. I kept my Ryobi after that video. The Ryobi is going to go, and this is going to be the one that I'm keeping. Now let's talk about that though for a second, because this can't shoot 2-inch brads like this one can. If you're like me, and I already own several other types of nailers, pin, brad, finish, framing. If I need to get a larger, longer nail in there, I will just move up to my finish nailer, which can shoot over 2 inches. So for me, I have that covered. So I would much rather have a smaller, lighter, more maneuverable, but very powerful and accurate nailer in the Brad nailer space. So that to me is the win. If you're I don't want to say if you're a beginner, if you're somebody who doesn't own an array of nailers, if this is your first nail gun that you're buying, and you're buying a Brad nailer most likely because you're a woodworker, I would go with the Heart from Walmart, crazy as that sounds, or the Ryobi here. That's because both of those scored the highest on our last video. They are very affordable. That Heart came in at under 150 bucks for the nailer, battery, and charger, and it works really good. Also, the Metabo over at Lowe's They have it on deep sale right now after I did that video. So that's also under 150. That's a very good one as well. You might make that decision based on battery platform, perhaps, or you might want to, the Ryobi, you can get a lot of other tools that are pretty nice on this platform. The main thought on that is, if it's your only nailer, you want to have the variety and ability to shoot longer nails if you need to. If you get this one, you're pigeonholed to that 1 1/4 inch. So if you need to shoot longer at some point, you don't have any options. So that's just my 2 cents. This is a great nailer. Just that one thing is the thing that I kind of step back a little bit from for a beginner. You might want to go with the last video's pick. But for me, I'm keeping this one in the shop. If you got a lot of good information out of this video, I hope you'll like and subscribe. That's what really helps me out. That's what helps me be able to go and buy all these tools for these videos. And as always, stay safe in the shop. I'll see you in the next one.